we got a fight this weekend that's turning into a 50-50 fight in a lot of people's eyes. It feels like people are saying, Crawford's going to pull this off. A lot of people feel like it's leaning a lot more Crawford than they are Canelo. I still think this is Canelo all the way. And why do I say that? Is I did some research on this fight, and I went back and looked at their previous performances. I like to look at what they've done recently. And one that stood out to me is Canelo Jamel, right? In that fight, to me, Jamel was an actual 154, a guy that could easily go to middleweight. But when he went to 168, he just didn't have the power, the size, the strength to keep up that weight class. And I felt like as soon as he felt Canelo's power on his guard, when he got stuck against ropes and he felt Canelo on his guard, you could see his eyes being like, this is different. I can't even stay in here to eat those shots on my guard, right? I looked at Terence Crawford versus Majimov. I gotta be honest, Crawford looked small in there. He looked small even compared to Majimov. He didn't look like, this is the weight class he should be at, or he's just as big as him, or he even looks bigger than Majimov. What happens sometimes when guys move up? No, he didn't look that. To me, Majimov looked bigger. He looked wider in the fight. And I saw a Crawford that was a little bit more tentative. He wasn't as eager to exchange in there. I think he understood the power. I think in this fight, where Canelo's had trouble, and people say, Bivol outboxed him, right? Mayweather outboxed him. Well, Bivol is a big man. I think that his strength was too much for Canelo. I think Canelo had went up to a weight class that was too much for him. And Bivol was extremely skilled. So it was like a big guy bigger than him was extremely skilled. It was trouble. It was good. It was trouble. There was no chance he was going to do it. And Bivol could win against ropes and just stay in a closed guard and just eat the shots. It weren't going to do anything to him. It was fighting a smaller man. And when he was even not putting anything on the shots, but he was pushing Canelo back, Canelo couldn't just sit there and take it. Couldn't walk forward to it. Those shots meant something from a bigger man, a skilled bigger man. Now you go to Floyd Mayweather. Well, Floyd Mayweather is one of the best, is probably the best defensive fighter in boxing of all time, in my opinion. The stuff he could do defensively, and especially Floyd at that point, who understood the game as highest his ring IQ could be. He wasn't there to be touched. He was defensive-minded the whole time. He wasn't giving Canelo anything. And he knew when to touch Canelo. And he knew that he didn't have to rely on any power for his offense because his defense was so good. At that point, he was used to fighting fights where he didn't have to put too much on his power. His power didn't need to mean anything. He just needed to be able to touch you, keep his distance, and he has the best guard defense in boxing. Crawford does not have the defensive skills that Floyd Mayweather has. And his shots aren't going to mean as much as Bivol did. His strength's not going to be there. So Crawford, who's a guy that's going to need to be in there with the counters, right? He's going to need to be able to counter Canelo, make his offense work after Canelo works. Well, he's going to have Canelo walking towards him. And Canelo's going to be looking to set him up. Canelo's going to be looking for him to react and him respond in between. So he's going to look to get him to move, right? So he's going to get there. Then Crawford's going to be tentative, going backwards, looking to respond when Canelo responds. Look to punch in between the shots. The problem is once Crawford feels the shots, he's not going to be too eager to get into exchanges. So then he's going to get into more defensive moving. I'm a jab, I'm a touch, but that's not really Crawford's game. Crawford's game is really, I'm going to get in position. Once I set in that position, I'm going to let go of my shots once I'm set. He's not hit you, move defensive, touch, and then move. That's not his game. So he's going to get to a position where he's looking for the shots, but Canelo's coming in, and Canelo's not afraid of what's coming back at him, and the shots don't mean as much as people think they're going to mean, and Canelo's just going to be able to walk through that. And once he's able to walk through that, he's not going to get as tired as people think in the second half, because he didn't get that tired of the Jamel fight, because he's just at his pace. Nothing's forcing him to be at an uncomfortable pace, because there's not enough power coming at him. There's not enough offense coming at him, because the guys feel comfortable doing that. That's what's going to happen in this fight. I know people say that Jamel quit. I know people say that Jamel was scared. Well, I think Jamel knew what would happen if he opened up in the fight. I think he knew that there wasn't really much options for him to win. And I think that's going to be an interesting spot for Crawford in this fight. Is he going to realize that? And is he going to get on his bike and say, okay, this is too much, I'm not going to take that chance? Or is he really going to say, whatever it is, I'm going to sit on my shots, I'm going to see if I can find out here. We're going to find that out. But I think people are underrating Canelo's skill. I think people are underrating the size difference in a major way. And I think that you're going to see a bigger man, a stronger man, and you're going to see that even the shots on the guard is going to be too much for Crawford. He's not going to ever get comfortable in the fight. And I think Canelo's going to win this fight pretty wide margin. I think it's going to go decision. I think Crawford's good enough to do that. But I don't think he's going to be in this fight. I really don't. I think the size and skill will be too much.